Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat, a place where we talk about the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. It's our pleasure this afternoon to be coming into your homes and to be talking about the goodness of the Lord. Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat, the program where we seek to empower mind, soul, and body. And today is no exception. I have with me a very informed guest. And I know that many people after this program, because of a discussion we had earlier on in the week before the program, will become different and looked at life and many more things differently than they currently do. So I want to use this opportunity this afternoon to welcome my special guest, Mr. Windell Rankine. Right, Rankine as a general, he said. Well, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask him, so to do himself justice as well, to introduce himself, to make us aware of some of his personal as well as his professional accomplishments, and so that we can have a greater appreciation of who Mr. Rankine is. But this program this afternoon is hinged on, it just came out of my mind as I was reflecting on the whole water strike.
Oh, got it.
So we're going to discuss a lot more and show you how the water comes into it. But it's going to be a healthy discussion, pun intended, as we proceed today. So welcome, Mr. Rankine, to the program. It's my pleasure to have you, and I know it's going to be very informative and enlightening.
Thank you, Doc.
So just say to our audience today, who exactly is Mr. Rankine?
So Windell Rankine is a wellness coach, and wellness covers the three-dimensional man. We talk about the human construct as body, mind, and spirit. So the spirit is the breath of God, Genesis 2 verse 8. The mind or the soul is the mind consciousness and the emotion. Both of that goes together. And then the body is what you're seeing. So when we talk about wellness, we're looking at the complete man.
Right.
Spirit, soul, and body. There are different groups that focus on the individual aspects, but the complete man has to be tended to in order for you to pursue your goals and dreams and fulfill your purpose.
Excellent.
For which you're called to earth.
And so it is important as we begin this discussion to remember that we're not extremes. We exist in this form, this tripartite nature, and every unit that makes up the whole person. That's what we oftentimes refer to here on Sip and Chat, the whole matter of the whole person. And many times as Christians, we need to be aware of that as well, because we can spend a lot of time being very churchy, if you understand what I'm saying, and not taking care of the physical man. And one of the things I want us to understand that the Bible itself, as we're getting deeper into the discussion, is not aloof from instructing us as to how to take care of the whole man, and especially the physical man. Because many people think it's a spiritual book,
Yes.
But it's also a book that is, I tell you, it touches on all topics. And even as we were preparing for this discussion, I saw the scripture that says, we shouldn't have too much honey.
Yes.
Which in itself was referring to sugar. So, and as I went through, I saw more and more scriptures that spoke about the benefits of herbs and so on. So, if you're here, you're listening, you're at the right place to become a better person. So, Mr. Rankine, you spoke to us about wellness and nutrition, right? So, and you had explained to me earlier, it's a distinction between, or connection rather, between wellness and nutrition. So, as we start this discussion, could you set that kind of premise so that our viewers have an understanding?
So, wellness looks at the complete man. The Word of God says we are fearfully and wonderfully made, which suggests that we were made in a perfect state. What has created the descent is really sin when you look at it, because sin is really missing the mark.
Okay.
And so if we have
the mark of perfection,
we're made in God's image and likeness, and God is perfect. So man was really made perfect. But because of sin, we have missed the mark. And so because of sin, everything breaks down. So inside of wholeness and completeness, we really are about going back to the ordained principles of eating, meditation, the whole gamut that brings all three dimensions.
together.
in balance.
So one of the things that I read is that for a healthy outside, you definitely need a healthy inside.
Definitely.
And so it doesn't matter how we try to fabricate the clothing, makeup, whatever it is,
Cosmetics.
no matter how expensive those are, if our inside is not healthy, then we're going to have a problem. And one of the things that we want to also look at is this whole matter of pursuit of happiness, but real happiness really starts in making sure that we're healthy. Now, in our discussion, you did explain to me, and I want to get into that because I'm very excited about that part of it, that there are basically 8 steps to a healthier life. So want to start to get into the meat of it now. So
Definitely.
start to talk to us about that concept and, how does that actually, some of the things that make up those 8 steps.
Okay, great. So a good place to start is to look at how the body replenishes itself. From the time we're born to the time we die, we have what we refer to as a 3-tier plan. So between birth and about 25, it's when our bodies are developing. We refer to that as anabolic. It comes from the Greek word which really means building up or making up.
Right.
And between ages 0 to 25 is when we're at our strongest.
Okay.
Which is why athletes are basically mentored into do your best anywhere between 18 and 28, thereabout, because anything after that is really brought up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And what that really means is that your body in regenerating itself is about the protection of your immunity, technically, right? And we talk about immunity inside of understanding the pH scale. We have on one side we have acid, on the other side we have alkalinity. Right? Now the idea is to keep good alkalinity. And if you were to do your own research, you'll see that anywhere between 7.2 on the pH scale to 7.4 is really just about where we want to be. Ideally 7.365. An easy way to remember that, say 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Okay.
Right? Incidentally though, what we have found is that because of modern technology and the way we live our lives with lots of stress, we'll talk about that in 2, most of us are on the other side of the pH scale, which is the acidic side.
Right.
Now, and it would be alarming to when you look at the figures to understand that more of the populace of the world is to the acidic side than the alkaline side.
Right. So it's not a Jamaica trend.
No,
it is a global trend that we're more to that side, and we're going to see how just the whole lifestyle that has emerged in terms of industrialization and those things,
all of that
would have set us on this path where we are more to the acidic side than to the alkaline
so,
side.
So I was making a point. So between 0 and 25, it's 7.7 where your body is trying to assimilate. Between 25 and 40 is where the body creates its own balance, 7.2 to 7.4. But incidentally, more persons between ages 25 to 40 are below 7, which is on the acidic side, which is where the body begins to break down. Because the cells are not being rejuvenated. Hence, there's more acid that creates more mucus that cuts off the flow of blood and oxygen from the cells. And the cells begin to mutate, and that's how we create what we call illnesses.
Okay.
And then between 40 to death is what we refer to. So 25 to 40 is homeostasis, which is balance. And 40 to death is catabolism, which really means breaking down.
Right. So we have
anabolic, homeostasis, and catabolic.
Our viewers you're getting a great lesson this afternoon, right? But it's so important for us to understand those phases, because then we're better able to nourish our bodies, understanding where the state that our body is in, and don't just food eat. That's so important. So talk to us now about some of those steps now in terms of, as we discussed, what are some of those things that we need to be mindful of in terms of helping us to stay on the alkaline side?
That's correct. So I'll name the 8 steps, and then I'll give you a little bit of information each about.
So what you should do is just tell us each step, and then we discuss each step.
Okay, great. So the 8 steps are fruits, vegetables, rest, water, exercise, stress management, detoxification, and nutrition. Okay,
I don't know if all our viewers got that, but I'm sure we're having up on the screen. So could you go one more time again as we go through them?
Fruits, vegetables, rest, water, exercise, stress management, detoxification, and nutrition.
Okay.
So we're going to give you a little bit of information on each, right? Without giving, because of time constraint. Number one, fruits. We like to say 3 fruits a day.
Three.
Three fruits a day. And the way we like to say it, we say follow nature. Because depending on your habitat, nature provides itself. God is so good. Nature provides itself in the season, the food that your cells need for protecting the body.
So we don't need to have any carbo in mangoes, because if it's not mango time, it's just not mango for your body.
Don't try to push it. There are fruits that are all around, like oranges,
Right.
and some other fruits that are all around, which suggests that whatever nutrient that
Those
fruit
fruits
carries,
carry.
you need it for all seasons.
And we know orange is vitamin C.
Vitamin C,
Right.
basically. So, but consider, guys, that our bodies are not interested in a plate of food. The body's interested in the nutrient that comes from the food.
Say that for us again. That is so important. Yeah. I think we need to understand that, because sometimes I see some people plate high like Mount Everest.
Yes.
So it's not about the height. No. It's about the depth.
It's about the nutrient. Nutrient dense.
Nutrient
dense, right? The body's not interested in a plate of food. The body's really. And I became aware of this very early in my career when I would go to the hospital in ministry looking for persons who were, bedridden, in a coma. And so, how them eat? Body's not interested in that. A little tube inserted in the nostrils after the dilation of veins, and they're being fed drip at a time, intravenously, nutrients. That's really what keeps the cells going. So it's really back to feeding the cells. So 3 fruits a day. High colors are good because high colors mean high antioxidants. Okay. And the oxidation is really rusting. Think about the burglar bar on the entrance of the buildings. The rusting of the steel is as a result of the moisture in the atmosphere. That moisture, we are also predisposed to that. So like we paint or prime the steel to protect it from oxidation, that's how foods prime the cells to protect it from oxidation. Wow. All right. Number 2 is vegetables. We like to talk about green leafy vegetables. The most potent plants on the planet is green leafy vegetables, because it has phytonutrients, and the plant nutrients literally enlivens the cells and creates more energy and manages or mitigates aging. So we can't prevent aging, but what we can do is manage it or mitigate it. Right?
Interesting.
And that's what you get from green leafy vegetables. Now,
so that would be like your
callaloo, spinach, your celery, your parsley. Some of them is a little harsh, like celery, but you can juice it. Right. You can do it in a smoothie, kale, with a little honey and have it. Right. And have it on an empty stomach.
Also, that's a general rule that
yes,
vegetables are preferred, the stomach
to be had on an empty stomach.
Because what some people do too, and this is an eating habit that some persons have, where they go somewhere and which root on the menu they will serve you a salad, but some persons, when they get they go to a buffet, what they do is that they'll take their vegetables and they'll put it to the side,
waiting,
and on completion of the meal, then they have the vegetables. But if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying to our viewers that the vegetables should be had on an empty stomach.
The cells are happier when that is done. As a matter of fact, as a broader, I'll give you this. Consider that sandwiches, generally we have sandwiches where we have the lettuce and the bread. That is carcinogenic. What we really want is to have the vegetables by itself and then bread by itself, because there are 2 different enzymes that are released in chewing when you have these 2 things. So it's preferable to have the vegetable by itself and then have the bread by itself. That's why we do not encourage the eating of sandwiches as we know it. It's really harmful to the cells and the esophagus.
Traditions and trends.
Yes. All right, so water is next.
So water, right?
Water. I like to say it like this. Precious water. I like to say it like this. The earth is 2/3 water and 1 part land. Science teaches us that the human construct is 2/3 fluid, 1 part flesh. So if we're not hydrating, then we're out of sync with nature. We're going to be in catabolism than homeostasis.
Right.
So a nice way to put it, based on science, is half your body weight in fluid ounces for the day. right? And that way, you're rehydrating the body, you're cleansing the colon, you're giving new energies to the cells, the skin, the brain is two-thirds water. Water is important. It flushes, it detoxifies, it rehydrates.
Oh, excellent. And we want to also establish, I'm not a nutritionist, but I've learned so much by interacting with you, that soda is not water.
No,
Juice is not the water we're
no,
talking about. We're talking about just having a glass of H2O by itself.
by itself.
By itself. So we are three now. So we have done vegetables, fruits, and
Water. Rest. Rest, write this down. Rest is the only way old cells die, new ones are formed.
Okay.
Only way. If you're not resting, you're actually dying faster. Right?
So you're saying
And we
sleep
have
is important.
so there's sleep and there's rest.
Okay.
We don't have the time to discuss the two, the distinction, but suffice it to say that what we've learned from understanding the body is that 1 hour's rest before 12 midnight accounts for 1.5 to 2 hours rest after. So that if you were to get into bed in your own habitat, we'll talk about that, at 9 p.m., by 12, you'd have had about 4.5 to 6 hours sleep. So, and that is why persons are able to mitigate aging or premature aging if they go to bed earlier than later. Right? Now, there's a science behind this, and I'll quickly tell you. At 12 midnight, wherever you are in the world, at 12 midnight, there's a toxic chemical that is released from the brain called beta amyloid. Google it. Beta amyloid. It's a cancerous protein that is emitted from the brain, and it is emitted under two conditions. One, you're in bed sleeping before midnight, and two, total darkness. So no lights. No night lights, no lights from the window, no lights. And the more you emit beta amyloid, is the younger you look.
Okay, so I need to start sleeping from 7. I need to say to all of my professional friends who are up 1, 2 o'clock, get to bed.
It's not good. It's not good.
No.
As a matter of fact, if you went into bed at 8 and got up at 1, 2, you are able to take on the day without any more sleep.
Okay.
Because your body would have released the beta amyloid, you are now rejuvenated. And you know what we notice? Persons who go to bed generally after 12 become eventually forgetful. Because you're not making new brain cells.
Okay.
So you're losing memory.
Okay, so let's write a rule book for this. I'm telling you, knowledge is so powerful because, I mean, I'm sure we had a lot of research to back up these kinds of things. But again, we look at the lifestyle and the habits that we've developed over time. I mean, studying, late night eating, and all those kinds of things. So you can still do those things, just about how we manage how we do those things. So, okay, let's just move on to the next one.
All right. Exercise. Exercise is very important for the lymphatic system, for the circulatory system, for the functioning of the muscles. And we like to say, do a combination of cardiovascular, which is running, jogging, walking, swimming, which is, a combination of both, and restraint training, which is lifting weights, sit-ups, push-ups, that sort of a thing. Because as you age, you lose muscle density. So you want to increase the restraint training that will help to keep your muscles. And remember, muscles actually metabolize fat.
Right. So you do need some muscles.
So you do need some muscles, right? Detoxification. If you've done all the steps that we mentioned before, then you will do what we call number 2, cake or snake. And it has to be done.
Right.
And also passing your feces, passing your urine, and sweating. People exercise, they're docile, they're not sweating. The body is not emitting the toxins that's in it. And so if you exercise, you get that done.
So here we are looking at the lifestyle of a vast majority of the population. We eat for ourselves, not for our bodies, right? We go to bed after 12. We don't exercise because we're too tired after
too much sugar, too much salt.
Too much sugar, too much salt. Oh my God.
No vegetables.
When we look at the World Health figures on health and just lifestyle diseases, it's no, you can validate why some of these figures are so high because it's just the pattern that we go into daily. And what we want to say to our viewers is that ever so often you have to make a conscious decision to say to yourself that this is not my new way forward because nobody can do it for you. No matter how much knowledge we will, impart, you have to make that conscious decision.
That's so important. Okay, stress management. We suggest lots of things to ease the stress. By the way, let me just say, stress management, what we refer to as stress is not the things. So the light bill is not the stress, and the more pay is not the stress, right? These are stressors. Stress is our reaction to the stressor, and you always have control over the energy that you put to what it is that you're dealing with.
So that's when we talk about the fight or flight
Right.
syndrome.
Right.
So we live in a real world. So challenges are going to confront us. So we will have to make a decision. Do I fight or do I, run away from this? And so it's not a utopic world that we exist in, and we're going to encounter all kinds of things. But what we're saying is that in order for us to survive and surmount some of the challenges that will confront us, how we respond to the stressors is going to be very, very critical. And because we know we're talking about like stress, which is positive stress. Because some person like to say, me, I'm a stress man. We deal with stress good, but not recognizing that those are the ones that they will probably survive under. But they need to make room for those that come when you just can't find a way out. And how does that body respond to it?
That's important. All right. And we also encourage meditation, a form of meditation where you can sit in solitude in darkness. You just don't want to come home from work and fall on in the couch and eat a little food, drop asleep with the TV watching you, and then crawl into bed. That's
guilty.
That's a haggard way to live. You want to make a decision, talk to the family, have your time where you relax, your digestion takes place, and then you make a decision to go to bed before 12. Right. That's very important.
I say guilty because a lot of us, all we do is that we just eat right there, right? And then probably before we know it, the TV is still watching us. But you said something that is very important that I want to really bring home to our viewers. And that is, no matter how busy the day is, we need to infuse in that day this time of meditation. And we're not talking about no deep yoga or whatever. No, because some people said everything as demonic or whatever.
Solitude, that's so, time for you.
We're saying that, I have a little corner in my house, for example, that is my peace and quiet. I do everything and I just take away myself from the hustle and bustle. It might be you wake up a little early than the normal family and you put it so because sometimes people create these kinds of I can't do this because I don't have 4 room and 5 room. No, it might just mean you go outside, you have your little corner, your little chair outside a piece of stone. We have to make a conscious decisions because as Mr. Rankine says, nobody's not going to get up and take care of our body for us. No. What God has done is that He has empowered individuals with knowledge to impart to us how we should live, both spiritually and physically. And then we have to own that and say to ourselves, as for me and my body, we will not do this. And we will not live this kind of way, right? Healthy Christian means as well that we're going to eat right.
That's important.
Yeah,
Third John verse 2 says, I wish above all things, that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as the soul prosper. And so I like to say it like this, disease is not of God. Because His word says, I wish above all things that you prosper, and that prosperity in parallel with the soul. So it's very important that we understand. Now, the last point is nutrition. Now, what I want to, and this is limited time, what we want to say about nutrition is this, that we do not have to eat in excess. It's important that we have moderate eating. It's important also that we pay attention to our consumption of protein. Too many of us are eating like our foreparents, where they worked very hard on the slave in the fields, and so they had to eat a lot of carbohydrates to have sustained energy to do the kind of thing that they did. Now we're far removed from that. We're in air conditioned, we're driving our cars, no more those, we're behind a desk. All that carbs is totally unnecessary. We want protein, most predominant macronutrient that our body needs, a complete protein that has the amino acid which nourish the cells. And so if you've taken, we like to say it like this, you don't have to be vegan, you don't have to be an extremist, balance and moderation is what we regard. And so for the individual who is now, there's lots of things with the advent of YouTube and all these media platforms. Sometimes persons get confused. in making the right decision.
Right, because there's so much extreme, maybe you should be on this diet acting soon, maybe you should be another one that says vegetables alone, sometimes have a 8-day juice diet and so on. And so there is always, like you said, this room of confusion. And what happens is that as an interactive person is that when they go on these very rigid eating routine and they can't maintain it and they revert to their original, they become very disillusioned. But Mr. Rankine, I'm hearing you saying that instead of this crash diet and so on, it's better to have a lifestyle.
Balance. The 5 non-communicable diseases, the 5 top non-communicable diseases worldwide now, this is worldwide: heart disease, cancer, stroke, sugar, diabetes, type 2, and hypertension, all evolved from a system that's out of balance. And so what we preach is balance. Myself, I turned 50 this year, this week, Tuesday. I became 50.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Pre-birthday.
And I tell you something, my energy at 50 is that of a 35-year-old. Really crazy. And so what I preach is moderation. Moderation. I pay attention to my protein. I pay attention to the sugars, the carbs, having balance. And I feel great. That's important. Feeling good is important.
Feeling good is important. So now you're good on the feeling good on the outside because you're treating the inside right? And that's what we really want to endorse here on Sip and Chat, that we have to always remember that we are tripartite beings, body, soul, and spirit. And as much as we take care of the outside, we need to take care of the inside. And a lot of persons, part of the reason why we ruin our health is this pursuit of happiness. And the psychology of happiness says that, when they did the research, this gentleman, his name is Shankar Van Datam, and he says that they're wealthier, but they're less healthy, sir. Less. And the reason is that a lot of times in our quest for happiness, we oftentimes, let me find the word I want to use, we oftentimes compromise our health. So talk to us a little bit about, and before we close, again, reiterating the whole matter of making sure that in our pursuit for life's happiness, the dreams that we desire, the picket fence, everything that we desire, that we make sure that we take care of ourselves.
The important thing is to understand that happiness is not outside of us.
Right.
Happiness is inside of us. Persons are looking for something outside of us to make us feel better about ourselves. That's really a matter of the mind. And so a good way to start is to be grateful. Live in gratitude. You have life. You have your limbs are functioning. Once there's life, there's hope. And if we live that way in gratitude, because gratitude is the genesis for impelling everything else towards us. And so if we live in gratitude, then we'll have an appreciation for what we can do to make our lives better.
Thank you.
Following the steps. Can I leave a number?
Sure. So as you said, you're a wellness coach, right?
Wellness coach.
And so part of what you have all kinds of coaches now, but we also need to have that person who helps us to be accountable for our health and our wellness. So just talk to us about how we can reach you and be a part of this, playing a role in us becoming much more healthier.
Yes. So I'm CEO of Leleith Wellness. We're on Facebook, Leleith, Deleens Wellness, and I can be reached at numbers 876-336-9052. That's 876-336-9052 or 876-430-6670. And we're more than happy. Oh, by the way, we are reaching out to persons all across the globe, 90 odd countries, almost 100 countries. So it's easy.
It's easy, right? Well, one of the things we always have about Sip and Chat, we need more. But remember, it's Sip and Chat. Right? But we're always trying to empower individuals to become the best you. And remember, there's no time like the present. So why not start now? And, pause. Take a look at your lifestyle, your eating habits. The video will always be there for you to go back to. And you can always contact Mr. Rankine if you need further advice on just how to become the best you can while maintaining a very healthy lifestyle. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank you so very much for joining us here on Sip and Chat. And in our cups, we have a healthy beverage.
H2O.
So until next time, continue to sip and chat.
God bless.